Dear love, you know what's funny? My friends think I'm making you up. Dear love, you know what's funny? My friends think I'm making you up, not because they've never heard your name. Not because I keep you hidden. It's because every time I talk about you, I sound like someone describing a character from a movie that's too perfect to be real. I tell them about the way you laugh, and they roll their eyes. I tell them about the way you remember tiny details that even I forget, and they shake their heads. I tell them about the way a simple message from you can completely change the direction of my day, and they look at me like I've lost my mind. Nobody is actually like that, they say. And honestly, I can't even blame them, because if I weren't the one experiencing it, I'd probably think the same thing. How do I explain that someone can become the brightest part of an ordinary Tuesday? How do I explain that a notification sound can suddenly feel like a heartbeat? How do I explain that there are moments when I'm surrounded by people, noise, and responsibilities, yet the only person I want to tell things to is you? It sounds exaggerated, it sounds unreal, but you are real, and that's the part that amazes me the most. Sometimes I catch myself smiling at my phone before I've even opened your message. Sometimes I reread conversations for no reason other than wanting to feel close to you again. Sometimes I remember a random sentence you said weeks ago and laugh out loud like it just happened. My friends notice. They notice the grin I try to hide. They notice that I check my phone more often when I'm waiting for you. They notice that I suddenly have stories to tell, plans to make, and reasons to stay up later than I should, and then they ask, so when are we finally meeting this person? That's when I realize how impossible you sound when I try to describe you, because I don't just talk about your appearance. Anyone can describe someone's eyes, smile, or voice. What's harder to explain is the feeling of being understood by someone who listens between the words. You have this strange ability to notice the things I don't say. You can tell when I'm tired even if I insist I'm fine. You can hear the difference between my I'm okay and my real I'm okay. You ask questions that make me stop and think instead of giving automatic answers. That's rare, genuinely rare. In a world where so many conversations stay on the surface, you somehow make even ordinary moments feel meaningful. We can talk about big dreams, random memories, terrible jokes, favorite foods, fears we don't usually admit, and somehow none of it feels forced. It feels easy, and easy is dangerous, because easy makes people important before they realize it's happening. I don't know exactly when it happened. I don't know the precise moment you stopped being someone I enjoy talking to and became the person I want to tell everything to. Maybe it was the first time you made me laugh when I was genuinely stressed. Maybe it was the first time you remembered something small that I'd mentioned casually. Maybe it was the first time I caught myself wondering how your day was before thinking about my own, or maybe it happened gradually, so quietly that I didn't notice until one day I realized you had become part of my routine, my thoughts, and my favorite kind of distraction. My friends say I talk about you differently. Apparently my voice changes. Apparently I become more animated, more patient, more hopeful. Apparently I say your name like it means something, and maybe it does, maybe. That's why they think I'm making you up. Because people aren't used to hearing someone talk about another person with this much warmth without sounding rehearsed. But nothing about this is rehearsed. I couldn't script the way you make me pause in the middle of a busy day just to smile. I couldn't invent the comfort I feel when I see your name appear on my screen. I couldn't fake the way my mood shifts after a conversation with you. Those things happen whether I plan them or not. And the funny part is, you probably don't even realize how much space you've quietly occupied in my life. You probably don't know that certain songs remind me of you. That certain places make me think, you'd like this. That I've started collecting little stories in my head specifically because I want to tell them to you later. You've become the person I mentally turn toward, even when you're not there. That's a strange feeling, beautiful, but strange, because before you, I was used to keeping most things to myself. I was used to handling my own thoughts, my own worries, my own excitement. And then you showed up and somehow made sharing feel natural instead of difficult. Now when something good happens, I want you to know. When something frustrating happens, I want to hear your reaction. When I'm overthinking, I wonder what you'd say. When I'm happy, I wish I could hand you a piece of it. That's not something I do with everyone. Actually, that's not something I do with almost anyone. So yes, when my friends hear me talk about you, I understand their skepticism, because from the outside, it probably sounds ridiculous. It probably sounds like I've invented someone who's kind, funny, thoughtful, comforting, interesting, and somehow still manages to make my heart race with a simple message. It probably sounds like fiction, but if you're fiction, then you're the most convincing reality I've ever experienced. And if I'm being honest, I don't really care whether other people understand it anymore. I don't need everyone to believe in the connection I feel when we talk. I don't need anyone else to understand why certain conversations with you stay in my mind for days. I don't need proof for something that already feels real to me. What matters is that somewhere in the middle of ordinary life, I met someone who made ordinary life feel a little less ordinary. Someone who made waiting for a message feel exciting instead of annoying. Someone who made me laugh unexpectedly. Someone who made me feel seen, and whether my friends believe it or not, that someone is you. So the next time they joke that I invented you, I'll probably laugh. But secretly, I'll be thinking the same thing I always think: how lucky am I that someone who sounds too good to be true actually exists.